Alright, good morning guys. This is going to be section 1.08 and 1.09. This is going to be so today we're just going to briefly talk about parallel and perpendicular lines, but we're going to do a lot of construction, so hopefully you're watching this. I know you've heard and talked about parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines are any lines that will never intersect. No matter how long you extend them, they're never going to intersect. So parallel lines are actually the only ones on this page would be these blue lines. Okay, there's a slight angle here, so even though they wouldn't intersect on the page, they would intersect eventually as they continue to extend. There's obviously an intersection with these green lines, and then these are about to intersect. This is actually standard symbol for parallel. So if I wanted to say two lines are parallel, so let's say this is line A and this is line B, the way I would write that is A is parallel to line B. Okay? You actually use a little parallel symbol. It's kind of cute. Perpendicular lines are any lines that form a 90-degree angle when they intersect. Okay? A lot of times, so for example, this is perpendicular lines, these are perpendicular lines, these are not. This actually looks parallel, but because this actually is parallel, this one may or may not be parallel. It's hard to tell, but they definitely are not going to intersect at a 90. In order for you to know if they're perpendicular, you have to, you have to have the right angle. A lot of times I get diagrams like this and kids automatically would say that they're perpendicular. We don't know that unless we see that little symbol that lets us know, hey, I am a 90, look at me. Okay, so make sure you see that there if it's asking you to classify those types of lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually construct perpendicular lines. Which is very, very similar to the construction we just did. I'm going to go ahead and grab me a line, and I'm going to grab my compass, which you should all have. I'm going to put a point, let's say A. I'm going to put my compass on point A, and I'll just decrease it a little bit just to have room. I'm going to arc on one side, and then I'm going to rotate an arc on this side. I'm going to call B and C. Now I'm going to take my compass, put it on C, and I actually need to make my compass a little bit wider than the width of AC, and I'm actually going to arc up and down. So I'll go to B, same width this time, and I'm going to arc this way. You can see those two arcs intersect. Come on. Okay. Let's say they intersect at point D, and then I draw a line. Oh, nope. Draw a line. This time a vertical line. Voila. And I have formed two perpendicular lines. So line CB is perpendicular to line AD. Voila! Voila, voila! Alright, construction of parallel lines is a little more difficult. So let me grab my line. Go ahead and draw. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I just did with perpendicular, but I do it twice. So that's why it just makes it a little more difficult. Alright, so I'm going to put my compass at A. So this is, I'm drawing perpendicular lines right now. Okay, so arc here. I'm going to draw me a little beady one. Arc here. Grab my pencil. So I'll call this one B, this one C. Doesn't matter which one you call which. Put my compass back at B. Open it up more than halfway of A, and then I will arc here. Go put it at C, and mark here, and then draw my line again. And now this time I am going to draw a perpendicular on line AD. So for example, I'm going to come and I'm actually going to measure this width so that way I can arc the same length. Okay, so I measured AD and I'm going to arc, nope, I want to move it. I'm going to arc the same length here. So now, just like what we did, I'm going to go back to A, increase it a little more than halfway, and then start arcing. I'm going to try and choose a different color this time. I'm actually going to erase these arcs so that way I'm not going to do that though. Oh, it's grouped together. So let's do this. Because we don't need those. Alright, let's choose a different arc. So I'm going to arc here. Then I come here. And let's just arc this way. Alright, so now you can see here is a point. So I'm going to draw the horizontal line there. If I can get it right. It should be a little up. I missed it. You can see that, huh? And voila. So let's say this is E, point E. So DE, line DE would be parallel to line AC or AB or BC, whatever you want to call it. So those two lines are parallel. I could say that BA is perpendicular to DA if I wanted to. So all you do is you do perpendicular twice to construct the parallel lines. Alright, so we also need to talk about, this starts 1.09, we need to talk about bisectors. Now, we have three types of bisectors. One is we have just regular segment bisectors. Now, what that means, bisect means to cut it in half. So you can see in this picture that this segment right here, the one that I'm drawing in red, is bisecting let's say segment AB. And the reason why I know that is because of the tick marks. The tick marks are saying, hey, this piece is congruent to this piece, so it has bisected it. Okay? Bi means cut it in two. So we have just regular segment bisectors. We also have what's called a perpendicular bisector, which means as they are bisecting the segment, it is also perpendicular to that segment. So notice just a regular segment bisector will not be perpendicular, but a perpendicular bisector will cut it in half as well as make it perpendicular. And then the last item we have is an angle bisector, which means almost the same thing as segment bisector, but in reference to an angle. Notice that middle ray right there is cutting that angle in half, and the way that we know that is because of those tick marks. Those tick marks mean they are equal, congruent, therefore those two angles, that one angle is being bisected. Alright, so then I'm going to try and hurry up and draw a perpendicular bisector, which, did we do that? This is actually right here, a perpendicular bisector. Okay, so I won't go through that whole process. Okay, you could see that this piece is congruent to this piece. So actually, anytime you construct perpendicular lines, you would first just draw a line segment CB. Okay, in this case CB. Then I would take my compass, wherever you are, oh compass, and then I would make sure it's halfway, so as such, and I would arc, and then I'd come back to B, and I would arc, and notice when I'm going to arc up and down. I'm sorry, I should have arced up and down. Oh, I hope y'all can see this. If not, I'm sure you can get an idea. Okay, so arc up and down. Oh, you barely see the intersection. So then, of course, it's hard to judge. Bloop, bloop. So that is actually the perpendicular bisector because this piece is going to be congruent to this piece. All right, and it's perpendicular because of how I constructed it. So the last thing I need to do is an angle bisector. So here's my angle, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to arc the angle one time. Not that. Okay, so let's arc one big arc. Then I am going to put my compass at the points of intersection, and I go voila, 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 voila. And you can see where they intersect, so I'll just call that B, this I'll call A, and then I'll take my handy dandy line tool and voila. Now, this angle is going to be congruent to this angle. Please come to Thursday at 10 o'clock so we can do problems. Have a great day, guys.